All right, so it's been quite a long time since I made a video. Honestly, I didn't really feel like making a video, and that's why I took the long break. But I also took a break from just making any personal work, um, either for YouTube videos, for myself, for the project I've been working on. I just felt like I had zero motivation to do so, and I didn't want to push it. And I wanted to get into some of the reasons why I was lacking motivation or inspiration. And the first one is this thing right here, my phone. I think a lot of people like to think that they're not addicted to their phone, but I have been for a while now. And it's embarrassing to say that, and it's embarrassing to admit. And I think that's why a lot of people don't want to admit that. But I was letting this thing control my life to the point of not being motivated to make work and not being inspired. And it started around the winter of last year because it's cold outside. It gets dark early. I'm not making a lot of work. And it's just tough to get out there and do the things that you know you need to do. So a lot of people, and myself included, like to take the easy way out, and they like to do the easy thing. And this is one of the easiest things you can do right here. Just scroll, 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 scroll. And that's where I got in a lot of trouble, because instead of making work, instead of being in the dark room, instead of reading things that will benefit me or watching longer form content that would benefit me, I was watching dumb YouTube videos that do nothing for me. I was watching reels that do nothing for me. It's just short bursts of energy that get you excited, and then instead of inspiring you, you're just constantly looking for the next fix. And that pushed into my personal life as well. And that's even harder to admit. But I was talking with Emma a couple weeks ago when I decided to finally change things. But I was pretty much in tears in my kitchen talking about photography. It was when I put out the last video and it wasn't doing well. I wasn't getting views. It was a 10 out of 10 on YouTube Studio, so we know it's trash. And I was sitting there and upset because nobody cared and nobody was interested. And that's kind of when I took a step back, and with the help of her, she let me know that I need to be grateful for what I do have, the views that I do get, the people that do support me. And before that, I told her that I was ungrateful and I took a lot of things for granted. And every message that I would get, I'd get messages all the time. And people, other photographers out there would die to get one message that says, hey, you inspired me, or hey, I saw this video, loved it. It made me go out and take some photos. And to me, that would happen quite a bit. And I would just be like, thanks so much for the support, blah, blah, blah. And it affects you, and it affected me because I was not grateful for those interactions. And I was constantly just looking for the next thing, the next hot take, the next video, in order to get more exposure and get things that don't really matter in the long run. So what I decided to do was make some rules, and I've been following them pretty well for the past couple weeks, but they're very simple. No phone upon waking. That one I've been 50-50 with. The main one is just having a purpose when you use your phone or when you're on social media. When I pick up my phone now, I try to ask myself, why are you doing this? And it can be as simple as replying to a message on Instagram, or I haven't checked Instagram today. If you have a purpose going in, then that's good. What I don't want to do is when I get out of the shower, pick up my phone and just mindlessly scroll. When I have any downtime, pick up my phone and mindlessly scroll. It does nothing for me, and it just wastes time. The other one is ideally trying to look at work on a computer instead of a phone. It's just better. You're slower when you're on a computer. You're not trying to get to the next thing. You're just taking in the work as it comes, or for me at least. The other two main ones were reading more. If I'm bored, pick up a book, force my brain to shut down a little bit and just chill and relax and take in things at a slower pace. And the last one was to watch more movies, watch more shows. I got into this habit of, again, looking at short form content that really didn't do anything for me. And I've been watching movies recently, and it inspires me more than anything else that I've taken in online. And there's a reason for that, because movies, books, it takes time to make those. There's a tremendous amount of thought and effort that goes into them. And that's why when someone makes a movie, they make a movie once every couple years. They're not pumping out movie after movie after movie every day or 3 times a week and not saying anything. They're making one movie every couple years, and they're saying a lot in that 2 hours. And they're inspiring a lot of people in those 2 hours. So that's the long-winded reason why I haven't made a lot of work recently. And just the honest truth about why I've been lacking motivation. And I wanted to put that out there because I feel like a lot of people probably feel that way. And a lot of people are probably addicted to their phones or addicted to social media. And it's hard to give that up, especially for someone like me who owes himself to social media, because without it, no idea where I'd be. I talked about this in a previous video. But I'm trying to disconnect from that and just make sure that the work that I make and make sure that the stuff that I put out has a purpose and is just continually trying to improve. So I have made some work for the project that I am a little proud of, and I actually like the images. Emma's coworker has a dad named Mike who has a little car collection, and she was looking for some family photos of him, his wife, their family around the cars. And I didn't know if I was going to take my 4x5 down there or not. I knew I was going to shoot digital, and when I went down there, it's not normally the light that I would choose to shoot in. It was around 2 or 3 p.m., harsh light, very sunny day, very hot day. And I thought, I'll just take my 4x5 down there and maybe I can get a couple of photos, and maybe I'll get one that is good for the project. So the first one that I took was this portrait of Mike inside his garage, and you can see that he's very proud and very happy. And when I talked with my buddy Carl Ramberg a couple months ago about my project, Articles of Virtue, we decided that the tone of it was not necessarily these proud owners. It was a little more melancholic, a little bit more on the sad side, which is honestly the kind of pictures that I like and the tone that I like. And so when I get these photos, of course, I'm taking family photos for them. this is a good photo that they'll remember forever and they'll like it a lot, but for the project, not necessarily the greatest. So after that, I moved outside and took this photo of Mike and his wife. And again, very happy, very proud. Will look great on the wall or in an album, but not necessarily the best for the project. And after that, I was pretty much done with the photos for them, and I wanted to set up a composition on 4x5 with this busted up, rusty car and this tree and a swing with this house in the background. So the first one that I took, it just so happens that I had a talk with Carl, Josh McMillan, and Cody Wood. We have this little critique group on Discord that we've kind of been sharing work and just critiquing each other and going over everything. And just honestly looking at everyone's work and trying to better people as they continue along with their projects. And when we were looking at Carl's work, we noticed that there are a lot of trees in the foreground. So going into that photo, I don't know why, but I was drawn to having this tree in the foreground. And I knew that I wanted the house to line up with the middle of the swing. And the problem that I had at first, when I first saw this, was that the exposure was 1 second and the swing actually had a little bit of movement from the wind. And at first I was bummed, but pretty quickly I realized that it adds a lot to the image. I like how it's moving, and people looking at it for the first time will probably think that somebody was on it and it's moving, which I kind of like that aspect of it. But for anyone watching this video, it was just because of the wind. But if you look at that, you can have any number of possibilities that could cause it to move, which I kind of like, and it just adds a little bit more dimension to it. And then the second one that I took, I kind of wanted to frame up the house again through the windows of the car. And with this one, pretty straightforward. I got a little bit too much of the sky in it. If I had to do it over, I would probably move a little bit further down and just take some of that sky out. But I did crop it a little bit and it looked a little bit better. But the thing I like about this one is just the house framed through the windows, and then the rusted up cut metal of the passenger door just adds a lot of texture to the image and just really brings the overall vibe up, if you will. The other things that I wanted to talk about, I know 6 months is a long time, and I haven't really updated everyone on what I've been doing within that period. But some positives, it's not all negative. I'm not just addicted to my phone and pining for exposure and relationships on social media. But I have won and been selected for some awards, which I am extremely happy with. And anytime this happens, it just forces me to focus on what is important to me. And it's not about succeeding on YouTube, and it's not about getting views or anything like that. It's about putting my work out there, getting recognition for that work, while also not getting recognition for some of it and not winning some of these awards, and realizing that I'm not the best and that there are a lot of people out there who are way better than me, and that I'll have to up my game if I want to be selected for some of those things. But the first one was the Portrait of Humanity book, and it did get shortlisted. It didn't win, or it wasn't a finalist for anything, but it was included in the book, which I was extremely proud of. The next thing that I entered or submitted to was the Chico Photo Review, which is this photo critique review retreat thing up in Montana. And it's around 4 days, and you stay in this lodge, and there's a lot of great photographers there that go and review your work. And I entered this, and they said that your odds of getting selected was 1 in 10 or 10%. And I ended up getting selected, and I was very happy with that. And I was very much looking forward to potentially going to that. But the problem with that was that it cost around $4,000 to $5,000 to go there and participate in the retreat. And I went back and forth a lot, and I talked with other people who had gone there in the past, and I talked with people who had been selected this year, whether they were going. And to me, it just wasn't worth it in the end. I really wish that I could have went and spoken with some of my favorite photographers, but it was just a little too much money. And it just made me proud that I was selected for it and that the work resonated with the people that were jurors and choosing the work to potentially go. But a lot of money, and I'm a photographer, so I'm not making dollar bills, y'all, but it was a good opportunity. The next one was I entered Critics' Choice for Lens Culture, and Articles of Virtue ended up being selected as a top 10 for that. And this was the first time that I had actually won anything in regards to a competition with a cash prize, and I did end up getting $1,000 for that. And that's crazy to me to think about, and I honestly thought it was going to be something along the lines of a grant where I would have to spend the money on film or cameras or something to progress the project, but it wasn't that. It was just a cash prize. I was overjoyed with that one because it was judged by some very prominent people, and it wasn't just a single image. It was the entire project that I'm working on. And the last thing was the International Photography Exhibit 165 from the Royal Photographic Society. That's a long one, but I entered this so long ago that when I got the email, I couldn't really remember what it was for. But I entered a single image, this portrait of Travis, and it ended up getting shortlisted. 400 photographers get shortlisted. There was around 6,000 entries, and they end up picking a final 50, I believe. So I had to order a print from a print shop in the United Kingdom, and they go through the prints, and they end up picking the finalists. So I'm waiting to hear back from that, and I'm hoping that I get selected, but again, just to be shortlisted, extremely honored, especially that portrait, which is one of my favorite portraits of all time. And it's probably a portrait that I will be trying to chase from here on out with the project going forward. And the last thing that I want to talk about is the project in general, and some New York Times news. The New York Times first, I did get my second assignment for them, and I'm going to talk about this in another video, but basically it's been in the making for 3 months. I've made some work for it, some portraits, and I'm just waiting to hear back to see when it's going to be published. The story is about Washington University in St. Louis, and it has to do with some whistleblowing and some rights in regards to transgender people. And it's very interesting. It opened up my eyes, and I'll talk about that in another video, but just wanted to say that that's in the making, and I'm hoping to hear back from them soon. But the last thing I want to talk about is the project. Again, haven't been working on it that much, and I met with Carl, Josh, and Cody in our little critique group. And Josh has been working on this project in the Yukon about gold miners, and it inspired me a lot. When I look at that work, it just makes me excited to make my own work and make my own book, which has been a long process, and it's been in the making for a very long time. But you just realize that you have a lot of stuff to work on, and there's a lot of images that you need to make in order to bring it all together. And I'm really hoping that I can give myself a deadline. Josh gave himself a deadline, and he said that it really helped him out in order to go out and make the work and make the images. So I'm hoping in August, September, and October, I can really start making a lot of work for that, not sharing any of the work, and just trying to bring all that together into a cohesive body of work and hopefully get that published in the future. And one of the next videos I want to make as well is a little follow-up video on the Glen Allen tornado. When I went down there for the New York Times to do that little assignment, I shot on all digital. I didn't shoot any 4x5 because I didn't think that I would have time. And I want to go back and see how they've progressed with the damage and the cleanup and everything. And I think that would be a really cool video to do and a cool little project to do, and take some portraits on 4x5 and speak with the people, because that happened on April 5th. And when you look at the news, it only has news from April 5th and April 6th. There was no follow-up. Nobody made another story about it. It was just, hey, 5 people died in Glen Allen, Missouri. On to the next thing. And I don't want it to be like that. I want to speak with them and see how they've been doing, and make some portraits while I'm there. So I know this video was very long and a lot of talking and probably kind of boring, but I just wanted to do a little update and let you guys know that I'm honestly in the best headspace that I've been recently. It feels really good. And if you guys have any problems, or if you feel like you're addicted to the old social media scroll, I'll be happy to listen to you. You can leave a comment, you can message me, you can send me an email. Just let me know. But hope you guys are being safe out there. I don't know why I'm still talking, but I'll see you later. Peace. And yeah, I'm wearing shorts right now and no shoes. And lastly, a thank you to the sponsor of this video, Squarespace. I've used Squarespace for 3 years now, and it's one of the best investments I've ever made. I am able to easily share my work with their customizable galleries, and I can sell prints and easily get paid with their simple-to-use online shop. I can also use their third-party extensions to even ship those prints if I feel so inclined. If you want to support the channel as well as get a small discount, go to squarespace.com/BrianBurks and use code BrianBurks for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.